Branch Circuit Connections, Evaluating In-Panel Wiring. In this part of the course, we'll take a look at some defects that may be observed during an inspection at the electrical panel board by a home inspector. Probably the most common electrical defect that an inspector will report is the double tapping of fuses and breakers, but there are many other connections that may also be incorrect. But first, let's take a look at conductor sizing. Conductor sizing. One of the first things the inspector should check is the size of the conductors relative to the amperage rating of the fuse or breaker. As we have seen, if the breaker is rated for 30 amps, but the conductor is a 14 gauge rated for 15 amps, we are likely to see the conductor overheating and potentially starting a fire. There may be exceptions under special conditions in the local code. For example, the NEC allows a 12-gauge wire on a 30 amp under certain conditions for air conditioning equipment. A nameplate on an AC unit or a specific motor load may indicate such exceptions to the standard rules. Please refer to the provided table within this course to show the most common conductor sizes used in residential branch circuits along with their maximum permitted breaker or fuse sizes. Remember, aluminum single-strand wiring should always be deferred to a licensed electrical contractor for an inspection. Neutrals sharing lugs. As the neutral is also a current-carrying conductor, the neutrals should each be terminated separately on the neutral bus. An inspector will often find signs of arcing and overheating where any multiple conductors share a common lug. This condition is basically just another double tapping situation. Unrated conductors. The inspector will often see the homeowner wiring using things like doorbells or speaker wire and cut down extension cords supplying circuits derived from the panel. This is always unacceptable and should be replaced by a licensed electrician. Nicked conductors. Any conductor that has been nicked, as in cut, scratched, incised, or damaged, as the installation was removed, is now of a smaller diameter than intended and has a higher resistance to the flow of electrons. This higher impedance is just the same as having too small a conductor on the circuit, since the damaged area will be the weak link and may either act as the fuse or overheat. Antioxidant paste. This grayish paste is commonly found on older aluminum multi-strand conductors and is still required by some city electrical inspectors. This paste was designed to stop the aluminum from oxidizing and thus be better able to maintain a clean contact footprint in its lug. Interestingly, the NEC has never required its use, rather they have permitted it. The alloys used in aluminum wire have greatly improved since the early 1980s, and while many manufacturers used to recommend its use on their conductors, few do so now. Abandoned wiring. All abandoned wiring should be removed from the electrical panel, or at the very least, it should be properly isolated and terminated with wire nuts so that the conductors are not able to make contact with any live components. Arcing and overheating. As we have seen, any of the conditions covered may cause overheating to the conductors. The inspector should recommend further evaluation of any wiring that is in any way deficient, as failures can and do lead to fires, which can lead to loss of life. Splices in panels. While electrical splices in panels are not in and of themselves improper, the home inspector should bear in mind that, like double taps, they are the line of least resistance and are often done by unqualified persons. Generally, untidy panel wiring, double taps, lots of splices, and wire nuts are indicative of homeowner wiring, which probably requires further evaluation. Occasionally, the inspector will open a panel and see most or all of the neutral conductors fried. This may have been caused by the property having been struck by lightning. The neutrals will be most affected by this, since they are, of course, connected to the grounding system. Many times, these conditions go unnoticed. A panel that has been hit like this should be fully evaluated.